Welcome to Kindred Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and you are listening live here on Marvelous Monday on 12radio.com. As always, I'm thrilled to be here with you for Kindred Spirits. I'm sorry I missed you last week. It was a weird day. I had a bunch of trouble with my internet, and I just could not stay on the air. So I guess I got a week off, but I'm excited to be back with you. I have so much to share with you. I am live on YouTube and not in the Facebook chat room because I'm having some technological problems with one of my devices. So if you want to watch the show, go to YouTube and search for me, Kristi Brower, and you will find the video there. And I'm live streaming on my channel. Or you can just listen here on 12radio.com. Either way is fine with me. And of course, I'm here in the chat room with you as well. You can get there by going to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button, and it will take you into our Facebook group. Of course, you can join if you haven't before, and my producer Scott will let you right in the door. You will find my chat room is the pinned post at the top of the page. It says you're listening to Kindred Spirits with Kristi Brower, and you'll see me and other people commenting there. That is where you can ask questions, ask for a reading, comment on our topic. I think this is a fairly hot topic today. I've already been hearing about it since I sent out my newsletter, so I'm excited to talk with people about this particular topic today. So those are ways that you can participate. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can post questions there as well. I can see them. And so you can ask me, you can ask for a reading or comment on our topic there as well. So I've started doing YouTube because not everybody likes Facebook, especially lately with Facebook's latest faux pas. And so I decided it might be a nice thing to give an option if you're watching the video. Now, this video will stay on my YouTube channel, so if you're listening in the archives, you can always go and find it there. It's also posted on my website, so I post the video of the show on the homepage of my website every week. Sorry, I'm putting on some lotion. You can see it in the video. I didn't know you could. Guys, it's really interesting to be live on video. There are lots of things you don't really think about until they actually happen, what it might be like looking at what's behind me right now in my office. I am a very creative person. Therefore, I have a very, I'm going to call it creative office, which means that it's actually really messy because it's full of all kinds of stuff and a lot of different projects all going at the same time. So sorry if I look a little messy behind me, that is why. Okay, so I want to get right to our topic because this is an important one. This is one that has really been kind of on my mind lately, and I don't know about you guys, but I like to talk to you about things that I'm working on because I know that often resonates with you as well. So this week, my Power Peak article, if you receive the Power Peak, that's Mark Husson's newsletter. You can sign up for it at 12house.com. It is a great way to kind of get a head start on what's going to go on for the week because there's the week ahead with C.A. Brooks, and she writes the horoscope. That is so much more than a horoscope. It's very powerful. And I write Kristi's Quill. Mo Abdelbaki writes Out of Mo's Mind, and we have several other people contributing as well. It's just a great opportunity to kind of get a heads up about what's coming up. And I always write about kind of what I'm feeling and the energy that I feel like is brewing for all of us. So this week, I wrote an article about evolving spirituality. I sort of compare my own spirituality to a puzzle that got mixed up with a couple of other puzzles. So some of the pieces fit and some of them don't. And no matter how hard I try to push them together, they don't. So I've really been, reevaluating my beliefs again. And that's been a process that's gone on my entire life. I was raised a Mormon in a very conservative, small Idaho town. I'm now a professional psychic and master healer and consider myself to be a pagan. I'm not practicing in any area of paganism necessarily, but obviously my beliefs have changed in a very extreme way over my lifetime. And they still continue to, I don't think the beliefs ever stay stagnant. I would hope anyway that we give ourselves permission to grow and change, and who we were as children and what we grew up with as children is not who we are as adults. And some of us stay with those things and some of us don't. My conversation about this today is not ever meant to be a criticism of anyone's beliefs. I believe that we all have the right to our own beliefs. And I do think that whatever you believe and whatever works for you is great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I may differ. And if I do, that's simply because that's what works for me. This is the thing that I have come to understand about belief is there are as many belief systems out there as there are humans. We all have different ones. We all have different versions. Even if you're in the same religion as another person, you each have a different version of that religion. For me, I fell out of religion when I turned about 20 and really walked away from organized religion altogether. It just wasn't, it didn't resonate with me. Didn't feel like truth to me. And so then I went on a quest that has lasted the last 22 years, and I'm sure will last for the rest of my life, in really deciding what do I actually believe and what do I want to take with me and what do I want to let go of. And one of the things that I said in my article is that I don't really use the word God. I don't feel connected to that word. To me, it doesn't represent the energy of the divine that I feel at all. And so, that's a weird thing because, do you replace God with something else? What do you do with that? So, in my estimation, God was created by people to explain things that we don't understand and to control, right? We know that religion was often created to control. I don't believe that there is a benevolent or vengeful or fatherly or punishing being in the sky watching over us and controlling our lives. What I see when I connect to a person to read their energy is in direct contradiction to that. I think the concept of God lets us off the hook and of responsibility for ourselves. If some divine being is actually controlling everything, then whatever happens isn't really our responsibility. In my reality, we are much more powerful than that. The divine isn't something out there separate from us. It is us. We all carry it. It is who we truly are. The divine is us and everything around us, and that we are all connected to it, and that we are, all connected to the divine because we are the divine. We carry it inside of ourselves. I see that light inside every person I've ever met. And it doesn't matter who they are, what they've done in their life, what they believe. Those things do not matter. That light is there. Even, people whose belief systems directly contradict my own. That light is there. It's always there. It is who we are. And so that's something just interesting. I've really been thinking through again. Although I left my religion of birth, I live in an area that is deeply rooted in that religion. I come into contact with it every day, wherever I go. And so I never really get away from it, I guess. And so because of that, I am constantly reevaluating myself and my beliefs and where I'm at with all of this. I feel like this is a positive conversation, and I want it to be a positive conversation. I don't ever want it to be a criticism of anyone. I just want to share with you kind of where I'm at, and I'm curious about where you're at. I would love if you would share in the chat room where you're at with this, and how has it changed for you? How has it evolved for you? One question someone asked me today when they saw my newsletter come out with this article was, if I don't believe in God, how do I believe in angels? And I think that's a really great question, and I want to talk about it. So I didn't grow up in a religion that used angels. Like some Christian religions use angels as a part of their theology, right? The Christian religion that I grew up in doesn't. There weren't angels. I didn't grow up connecting angels to religion at all. And when I started learning about angels, when I really started on my own quest to understand energy and spirit and my beliefs, my connection to angels happened organically in myself. And they did not happen through a religion at all. And so although some people are very connected, particularly through Catholicism, to angels, that isn't the only way to get there with angels. You may or may not know this, but lots of religions actually believe in angels. It's not just Christianity. There are angels in Islam, and there are angels in Judaism. So angels are out there in lots of religions. What I believe is the angels long predate any religion and have been added in because there's certainly a connection to the divine. And so we see them as a connection to God. But in reality, I don't think they have anything to do with religion. We added them in there into our religious stories, I think, because we know that they're divine. But for me, my experiences with them were just my experiences. It wasn't about any kind of theology that I grew up with. And so it is my understanding, that they can be a part of religion, but they aren't actually connected to religion in their own origins. So that's where I go with that. It doesn't mean that I don't believe in divine things, because I absolutely do. I see them every single day. It's just I don't want to be in a box about what my beliefs are. That's kind of how I've always been. I want there to be freedom for me to make my own choices about my beliefs. I don't want to, buy a program, like a particular religion that has specific beliefs in it. I don't want to get stuck in that. I want to be able to pick and choose, and I have done that in many ways, from lots of different religions, Eastern religions, and there are lots of things about the religion that I grew up in that I still love. Not so much the theology, but the culture around family, and watching out for other people and helping people in need and having a strong connection to your family, being independent as far as being able to do a lot of things for yourself, being self-sufficient. I think those were all great things that I learned from my growing up. So I didn't take the theology with me, but I took a lot of things from the culture with me for sure. Let's see, Christine in the chat says, I agree with you, Kristi. I was raised Catholic, but didn't feel connected to it, so I stepped back from it many years ago. I even applied to be removed from the registers, which wasn't received well by everyone. Still, it felt the right decision for me. I don't believe in a God either. I believe in a universal energy of which we are a part. I see. Christine, I did the same thing. I had my name removed a few years ago from that religion because my name was being used as being counted in a number of people that were a part of things. I was still receiving people coming to my house and information being left in my door for that particular church, of which I was not interested in. So I did have my name removed. So that's interesting, Christine. Yeah, I waited until after my parents were dead to do it. So it's interesting that you say it wasn't received well by everyone. There's a lot of judgment around this, isn't there? It's difficult, and I think if we express an opinion that's different than our family, that's different than most of the people who we know and who are around, that is seen as a bad thing. Honestly, I really encourage belief and exploration of belief. The one thing that I think that we have to be very careful about is to not get sucked into believing something just because someone else said it was true. I don't ever want anyone to feel like they have to do that with me or anyone else. I get up here on the radio and talk about the way that I see the world every week. And it is just the way that I see the world. And that may resonate with you and it may not, and that's okay. But I would never want anyone to feel like they have to take what I say as gospel, because it isn't. And neither is what anyone else says either. I grew up in a very patriarchal church, and in a church that we were really discouraged from doing our own research and learning and understanding, that we were to listen to our elders, who were all men, and they were to be the head of the Mormon church is called the prophet, literally the prophet, and said that he speaks to God, and so whatever God tells him is the truth, is the way things should be. And my religion of birth has changed many times because God has changed his mind on a lot of things. And I've struggled with that quite a bit. If you're speaking to the divine, why don't they know the right answer the first time around, right? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? So I've struggled with that quite a bit. And Mormon Church is quite famous for, changing its mind when society changes its mind. But that's the only thing is here in the New Age community, it's just as much an issue as it is anywhere else. That idea that you have to believe something because someone else said it so. No, you don't. You believe what you want to believe. You choose what you want to believe. You pick. It's your life. You live it. You get to choose, right? And so if you have an eclectic spirituality, if you have pieces from several different puzzles that you're putting together to make your beliefs, that's okay. You have that right. This is your life to live. And I know that there's struggle with what other people might think because of what they think your outcome might be. You might go to a bad place when you die. Well, we know that we as humans, we want to understand why we're here and where we're going. Those are two very big questions, aren't they? And things that we struggle with on a regular basis of understanding. And I do believe that we have lots of belief systems that answer those questions. Do we really know the answer? I don't know. I mean, I think I do for myself, but I wouldn't put it out there to be true for everyone because nothing is true for everyone, right? Lots of things are true for some of us and not all of us, but nothing is true for everyone. So that's my soapbox today. Wanted to get to the um, the chat room here just for a minute. Katie says, I always believed in angels, sorta, but started connecting with them the way I do now after listening to 1-2 Radio for the past few years. Gotcha. It helps to sort of hear from other people what they do and how they do it, doesn't it? It helps to guide our beliefs. Let's see. Maureen says, agreed. I have a problem with organized religion. Don't resonate with me. Yeah, me either. Although I don't mind if it does resonate with you. If that works for you, then do it. If it's what makes you happy, please do it. Julia says, I silently stopped attending church even for high celebrations as I was finding it very, very limited and limiting and limited. Since sharing my thoughts more recently, I'm finding others feel the same way, including 2 former lady ministers. How interesting. People move forward in lots of ways, even if they are ministers, we all have that ability to grow in our belief, don't we? Maureen says, Amen, Kristi Brower. I was raised Catholic and decided after the death of my parents to not return to church. I was tired of the jam it down your throat approach, and also our children decided to follow with me. I can't and won't be a hypocrite. And I also have my own voice and want to be heard, not silenced. Yeah, very much. Katie says, what grinds my gears is spiritual vegans who hate people who aren't vegan. I don't get it. Right. That's that thing about, well, if it's right for me, it's right for you. There's only one right way. This is the lie. I think that we've all been spoon fed, or jammed down our throats, that somebody's got the way. There's one right way to live, and we all have to live that way. And if we do, we're going to heaven and we're going to be happy and all the great things are going to happen, right? Now, the interesting thing is that there are lots of belief systems out there that say they're the one right one. So which one is it, right? Or is it any of them? Does it really matter? I think those are the questions that we have to answer for ourselves. The thing is, we know how to be good people inside of our hearts. Did religion do that for us? No. We know how to be kind and loving and empathetic humans. We don't need someone to teach us that. Our parents did as children, but do we need a religion that, says you're not allowed to kill people in order for us to not kill people? No, I don't think we do. I really don't. I think that there are lots of people out there who have never been involved in religion at all that are wonderful people. It's interesting, though, that one right way to live, and vegans do it. Everybody does it, right? Every religion has that component to it. Lots of philosophies have that component to them, that there's only one right way to do this, and I'm going to be showing you right now how it is, and you have to do it this way, and if you don't, you're wrong. I really struggle with that a lot. I don't think that's true. I live the way that makes me happy. I have spirituality in my life the way that makes me happy. Now, if that works for you, great. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. It's okay for you to be yourself and be an individual. When I was a little girl, I was taught in the church that I grew up in that I wasn't really supposed to talk to God, that there were men in power who were supposed to do that for me, that if I had a question, that I needed to ask a male authority to ask the question on my behalf. And having been raised by a closet feminist, I never believed that, not once. I never did that. I never went to anyone, to any of those men in authority in my church and asked them to ask a question for me. I asked my own damn questions from the time I was a little kid. That never worked for me. I never understood what made them qualified to ask questions about me and about my own life. Why couldn't I ask those things myself, right? Well, that was a question that I had to answer for myself early on in my own spiritual growth, that I can make my own choices, right? I can make my own connections. I can pray if I want to pray. I can reach out myself. I have felt that divine spark inside of myself and seen it inside of everyone else I know my whole life. I have always known it was there. I didn't know what it was until I was in my mid 20s. I didn't really understand what I was seeing or feeling, but as I grew up and got out of my really restrictive beliefs, and it was like being a kid in a candy store when I walked away from that church, because now everything was up for grabs. And so I read a zillion books, and I spent tons and tons of time on the internet searching and learning and going to classes and retreats and stuff. I went to all kinds of things and went through several different phases of spirituality, because suddenly I wasn't limited anymore, and I could learn about everything, and I did. I read about all of the major religions on the planet, none of which really drew me in. And that's when I found a more eclectic way of looking at spirituality, and that's what really worked for me. But I felt so free that there were no rules telling me that I couldn't contact the divine myself, that there were certain things that I couldn't do, and I'm a kind and good and moral person. I didn't just go off the rails because I left my religion. I most certainly didn't. I've never done that. I've never hurt anybody, and I never would, and that's just who I am. I didn't need a religion to help me with that. So I know that that's where a lot of you are too. You're in your own place with this topic. You're in your own place with if you had a religion of birth, if you're still in it or if you're not, or where you're at in your beliefs. But one of the things that I want to make sure that we talk about is evolving beliefs. Something that maybe you used to believe that you don't believe anymore, and that beliefs change. Beliefs are never stagnant. We never just discover, okay, this is what I believe, this is what's true, and then we just follow that for the rest of our lives. Now, some people do, but for most of us, I think really inside we're evolving and changing, even if we don't express it. We are evolving and changing, and we have to allow for that. We have to allow for different periods of our lives. For a long time, I really felt like I was a Buddhist. I wanted to be a Buddhist, and so I did Buddhist things. And then I don't really agree with the beliefs around suffering in Buddhism, that we are here to suffer. I'm not so sure that that's true, and so I kind of moved on from that into other things. Wanted to share a little more here in the chat. Beth says, I also feel that our spiritual gifts are unique. I've Google searched my kind of experience and haven't found any same stories. Maybe vaguely similar, but not the same. It's interesting. If you have time, can you sense anything? Yes, of course. Beth, would you just share one of your experiences with us if you could? And we'll talk definitely about that. And that's a very good point, Beth, that we all have different spiritual gifts that guide us in different places and take us to different directions. One of the things that I do is I mentor empaths. And so I work with all kinds of people who have, extrasensory empathic perception in different ways. Because I'm an empath with several different skills. And because of that, I've learned how to use it as a positive and not as a curse, which a lot of empaths can feel like it is. And so I help other people understand themselves and what kind of an empath they are and how to use that gift and skill. And so lots of us are out there trying to help people understand who they are and what their gifts are. And that itself can become our spirituality when we really understand ourselves and our connection to ourselves. Don't you think? Let's see. Kevin says, as a child, I was drawn to the Madonna. I followed her blindly up until recently. I began to question the dogma in relation to the Marian in accordance to the church. My beliefs and practices have changed toward this entity. She belongs to the masses, not just Catholic Christians. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that a lot of religions have taken on entities that are really meant to just be spiritual guides for this planet. And the Mother Mary is definitely one of them. If you do some research on her, you will find that she has existed by different names in lots of different cultures and belief systems, just like angels have. And just like a lot of divine entities seem to turn up in stories in multiple cultures. So the divine entities themselves outlive, I think, predate all of our stories. We write our stories based on our experiences, and because they're our experiences, they must be true for everyone. Not so much the case, but they are something that we are constantly evolving. And I think when you can become aware of that, you realize that all of this is bigger than we are. All of this is bigger than we can possibly know, and you can spend your entire lifetime learning and still not know all of it. I know that's true. I know that's always going to be true for me. But that's a really good point, Kevin. Let's see. Beth says, I see pinpoints of colored light. I think they have meaning. Oh, I'm sure that they do. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, Beth, what comes up for me about them, and of course you can take this as you feel if it fits. So first of all, often pinpoints of colored light can be elementals, and so they can be entities from the fairy realm or from that realm of elementals, and so they come up as little lights. Sometimes angels, archangels particularly, are also seen as colored light. And so seeing entities in this way is quite common because we give them bodies. We make them look somewhat human. They don't really. In my estimation in reading energy, they really have an energy, not a physical form. And so when we see the lights, we're seeing them in how they really turn up in physical form. So I would explore that, Beth. You might look into the colors themselves. I know all of the archangels have colors that most people experience with them. Look into also fairies and fairy lights, and see how that resonates with you. But those two things really come up for me when you talk about that. So that is awesome. I'm excited for you. Christine says, I just wonder, have you always been able to see other people's energy and attachments, or did you learn to see, remove, heal this? I felt it for a really long time. It wasn't until about my mid-20s that I could see it. So it was through spiritual growth and development that I got to the point that I could see the energy, but I felt these things from the time I was a little kid. So yeah, pretty much my entire life. Thanks for that question. Let's see. Marina says, I was raised Methodist. Everything I go around, relatives and old friends who are still active in the church, I realize that I am right where I belong, following my own spiritual practices. Sometimes I go to church and smile when I hear the same message of compassion and having faith in a higher power. Yes. There are plenty of positives in all religions. Love and understanding of one another and being kind, and those kinds of things are universal and good everywhere that you go. But it is true. I feel this way too when I watch other people following a religion that no longer works for me. I am very grateful for my beliefs and grateful for where I've gone, because I like where I'm at better than where I would have been if I'd stayed there. Interesting stuff, isn't it? Kevin says, agreed, she is an aspect of the divine feminine. Yes, so when talking about Mother Mary or the Madonna, she has come up in lots of belief systems. It's interesting to do the research on things like that and really read about how many times these very famous stories have replayed in different cultures. Okay, so I was thinking about, how do I bring a card from my deck into this topic, and how do I bring a stone into this topic? And so what I chose, sorry, I'm going to share with you here, if my computer will let me. Well, I'm going to work on it here. I'm going to share with you the card, which is Metatron, Archangel Metatron. So Archangel Metatron is all about finding truth. He's all about finding deception, shedding a light on deception. Sorry, guys. And finding truth. And when I say finding truth, I really mean finding our own truth. There is no one truth, right? There are lots of truths. Oh, apologize, guys. There is no one truth, right? There's no one right way to live. There's no one surefire way, right? We have lots of them. And so when you work with Archangel Metatron, it is about finding your own truth. But he is a great one to work with to help you to find your own truth. So I have shared my Metatron card in the chat. I'm going to read it to you. And then I've also shared a stone. So the primary message of Archangel Metatron is truth revealed, integrity, seek answers, the solar plexus, and acceptance of truth. So it's about finding truth and accepting truth. The challenge that Archangel Metatron can help with is deception, envy, backstabbing, and avoidance. These are all things that can happen that Archangel Metatron can help us with. The crystal that I have assigned to Archangel Metatron is Amazonite. Amazonite is a... I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a problem with my asthma right now, and I have these little spells sometimes, and I don't know when they're coming. So I'm going to just try to work through it, and I apologize. Amazonite is a truth stone. It's a throat chakra stone. It's a stone that helps us to find truth, understand truth, and accept truth. And so it is certainly the stone that goes with Archangel Metatron. The meditation on the card, my Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle card for Archangel Metatron, is, Dear Archangel Metatron, please show me what is true, expose deception, and guide me in accepting truth. So I felt like he was the right kindred spirit, the right guide for us today, because his energy helps us to find what is true for us, right? That's what this is about. What is truth for me? And truth for me might not be truth for you, and that's okay. My truth and your truth can easily be different. And there's not anything wrong with that. There is no one truth. I think that's one of the things that we have to learn to accept. It's one of the things that's a huge problem on our planet now and has been for a long time. That this idea that there's only one right way means that sometimes we try to eradicate all of the other ways. And that is a really scary and difficult place to be, I think. And allowing everyone to have their own truth is really the only way that we can actually function. And the only way that we can all be our own individual selves. I'm not the same as you. We all have different experiences. We all have different needs and wants and goals. And that's okay. That makes us different people. So that's why I wanted us to work with Metatron today and help him to Ask Him to guide us when we're seeking truth, when we're looking for deception. The the religion that I grew up in is full of deception. It was started on a lie. It's built on a lie. It's built on a large number of lies. Those lies have been very publicly exposed recently. And now it is the choice of everyone who has been involved with that religion to decide what to do. Do you continue following this system that started on these huge lies that was made up? Do you continue moving forward with it? Do you walk away from it? It's a huge thing right now. And there are many people really struggling with those issues. I'm grateful that I struggled with those issues 20 years ago and I'm out of that now, but I'm watching people that I know and that I care about that are struggling with it themselves, trying to understand it and trying to understand what to do with it. And that's why I think seeking truth in belief is really, really important, and seeking your own truth in belief is what really matters as a way to move forward in understanding ourselves. So I want to do a little meditation to help us with that. This is my Archangel Metatron Truth Meditation. Sorry, I did it late, but I was waiting for that coughing spell to be done so that I can at least talk my way through it. So let's do this. This is a way to seek guidance to find truth from Archangel Metatron. So everyone just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to settle and your mind to go quiet. Call in Archangel Metatron. Ask him to come to you and show you truth. Visualize Metatron standing before you with a balanced scale. Ask him to show you the truth of any situation you would like to know the true nature of. Open your heart and your mind to his answer and be prepared to accept the knowledge that he offers. So go ahead and take a moment to ask Archangel Metatron a question, something that you would like to know the truth of. Okay. Now, ask Metatron to guide you in speaking your truth about an issue that you have been keeping quiet. Tell Metatron your truth and ask him to support you in standing up for yourself. So take a moment. If there's something that you've been struggling with, speaking your own truth about, ask for guidance and support in that issue. And now, thank Metatron for his energy and connection. Give gratitude for your access to truth and knowledge through Metatron. And then take 3 deep breaths. And open your eyes. Okay, so that is a way to seek truth, whether it's about spirituality and belief or if it's about something else that you're looking for some truth in. That is one way to do it, is to reach out and access Archangel Metatron and ask for his guidance and support. I have um, had some very helpful experiences with Metatron over the years when I was trying to find the truth of something, trying to make a decision, and needing to know what was real, and what wasn't. And I have felt very supported in that. And so it's a really awesome way to, really get to the bottom of something if you need to. Oh, Kevin says, "Oh, that is funny because I had his name Metatron and a Merkaba in fluorite appear in my meditation yesterday." Ah, so Metatron is kind of floating around for a lot of us. That's really cool, Kevin. I love it when we have those kinds of synchronicities. Okay, so I think I'm going to get to a few questions. That's kind of the end of what I had to share today, but I hope that it makes you think. And I hope that you give yourself permission to allow your beliefs to evolve and to grow into things and move away from things over your lifetime and to not feel like you have to stay stuck in any one belief in your life, that it's okay to move forward and change things over time. Okay, Julia says, "May I please have a scan?" You bet, Julia. Let's take a look. Oh man, Julia. Okay, so I'm immediately drawn to your head. Your head feels so big and heavy and painful. Your crown chakra is very large, and I feel like it's making it difficult for you to rest. I feel like it's making it difficult for you to think and focus on things that you want to. I feel like it's creating some anxiety for you, and so I'm going to ground you, and then I'm going to clear that crown. We're going to let go of a lot of that extra energy. What happens is the crown will get stuck, and then it's not clearing, and then we have all of this energy that's repeating, going round and round and round in our heads because it can't clear out. It can't leave. So it just builds up and builds up. In my mind, it kind of turns into this giant record on the top of your head that's on repeat. And it just plays and plays and plays the same information over and over and over again. And we can't really get away from it. But Julia, I feel it clearing now. That pressure in your head is relieving. I hope that you will be feeling much better soon. Remember that the physical body adjusts slower than the energy body. And so if we make a change in the energy body, it might take 12 hours, it might take a day before your physical body really catches up to that change. It's just because our physical bodies are much denser than our energy bodies. So Julia, thank you for the question. I think you're going to be feeling a lot better. Let's see here. Ivy said, "May I please get a clearing?" You bet. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Ivy, I'm really pulled to your root chakra. It feels unstable. It's swinging around. Feels like it's not connected to the earth the way that it should be. So I'm gonna tether that back down for you, reconnect you, and stabilize your root chakra to the earth. I feel like you've had some things that have kind of shaken your foundation and are affecting you feeling safe and connected. So I'm just gonna see what I can do to. There we go. Get you stabilized and just bring everything into balance. Okay, there we go. I think you'll feel a lot better. As much as you can, focus on grounding. Okay, I think it will help. Let's see. Marlene says, "Can I please have a body scan? Clearing my upper back feels weird." Okay, let's see. And you, oh yeah, boy, it does. I can feel that. You have a tendency to get attachments back in there, don't you, Marlene? I think I've pulled them before. There we go. Yeah, you've got an attachment back there. Somebody stabbed you in the back. This happens. I think that you are a very true and honest person. You speak your truth on a very regular basis, and some people have a tough time with that. They don't like hearing truth, and it's not that you're doing anything wrong. You're definitely not doing anything wrong. I want you to know that. I just want you to know that response comes from people who are afraid of the truth, who are afraid of you saying how you really feel, or speaking the truth about something that's happening, and so you get those attachments. But I just pulled that and cleared it. I think it will help a lot. I think that weird feeling will go away. But thank you very much for the question. Thank you, Marina. She was sending me healing energy while I was coughing. Yeah, I could use it. I'm having this weird cough that's I'm having a really strong allergic response to this spring, stronger than I've had before. And I get that cough going and it's really hard to stop it. Oh, Julia says, thank you. Yes, I've had a stinker of a head cold and sinus headaches since Sunday last week. Yeah, I think that'll get better. I think we've cleared that up. Christine says, my daughter, Lisbeth, has been having headaches and she's not feeling well. Would you please have a look? I sure will. Let's see. Okay. Yes, Lisbeth has tornado energy body. So her root is shifted out, and that means that her lower chakras are underactive and her upper chakras are overactive. So she looks like a tornado instead of a spiral. So let's get her back into balance. That'll help her to feel better. We're gonna just put her root chakra back into place. And then we're just gonna draw the energy all the way up through all of her chakras and out the crown of her head and get her head clearing the way that it should be. Kind of like Julia, similar thing that there's an imbalance there that's keeping everything stuck in the head. But it's starting to open and move out of there now. And so I think that's going to feel a whole lot better and be released for her. There we go. Christina, I think she's going to be feeling a whole lot better. Thank you for that question. Maureen says, so frustrated. Can I please have a scan? Cholesterol elevated due to menopause, and I'm not a fan of the meds prescribed. You know, my first hit on this was to look at some alternative ways to get your cholesterol down. I feel like I'm not a doctor, so I'm not making a medical statement. I'm simply making an energy statement that it is not as serious as it is being portrayed to you, and that there are some other ways to bring that down. And so I would encourage you to look at some alternatives. There are some. Go to your local health food store and ask for alternatives to cholesterol medication. Obviously, if you feel prompted that you should go with what your doctor says, then do. I'm not trying to give medical advice. I just want you to know that there are options out there for other things. So look into that and see what you can do to find something that maybe you feel more comfortable with, okay? Okay, thank you for that question. I know that can be hard. I agree, the meds are not so fun. Kevin says, so I've been working on my navel and sacral areas energetically. I've even seen a shark floating there in meditation. So I'm guessing I'm maybe too on guard and not grounded. Ooh, yes, that really resonates with me, that the shark floating in water, yeah, does mean that you tend to defend rather than be open. And yeah, there's no grounding or connection there. So see if you can morph the shark into a tree. You know, can you turn that shark into a tree in your meditation? I think that would ground your energy and open things up for you to just be in a place of safety. But that's a great interpretation on your part, Kevin. I like that very much. I think you did really well with that. Oh, this has been a really fun conversation, you guys. I really appreciate you participating in it with me. And, you know, again, I just want to say that wherever you're at in your beliefs is okay. There's nothing wrong with it anywhere, as long as it's what you want. That's the key. And that's the key I think that we have to really stick with, is that it's important that our beliefs match what we want and the direction that we want our lives to go, that we have the right to choose those things, and that if it isn't what we want, that we have the right to change them. We don't have to be stuck in something that we don't really want. And I know for me, I grew up that way and got out early, mostly because I had really supportive parents who, you know, recognized it wasn't really that much of a thing for them either, to be perfectly honest. But they never made me feel trapped, that I couldn't make my own decisions, that I couldn't look into, you know, and learn about other things, that was okay to do. And I was lucky for that, because not everyone that I grew up with parents like that. But I think as adults, we have to give ourselves that permission to make those choices. And I know it's hard, because sometimes it really upsets or angers people around us. But the thing that we have to remember about belief is that it's individualized. Every person believes something differently. We also have to remember that we are all responsible for our own happiness in this lifetime. And if we don't follow what we truly want, we aren't going to be happy. No matter how hard you try to force yourself into a box that you don't really fit into, you will never be happy. It will always cause you pain. And I don't think that we're meant to be beings that suffer. I think we are meant to find happiness and joy. And it doesn't mean that bad things don't happen, because they do. But I do believe that we are meant to have joy in our lives, that we are meant to be happy, that we are meant to be able to choose to do what we want to do in the direction that we want our lives to go. That is my belief. That's my truth. It's something I just want to share with you, because I feel like there was a time in my life where I had to give myself permission that it was okay to go searching, that it was okay to do something different than what I was raised with, that it was okay to not just do the same thing that everyone else was doing. And now it just feels like second nature. Most of the time I don't even think about it. And then someone who has known me for a long time will tell me that it's so cool to see how, I've allowed myself to just live my own life and be who I am. And I just want to encourage you that you all have that right too. You all have that power too. And if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with that issue of understanding where you're headed, if you're struggling um, with that issue of understanding your spiritual gifts, like Beth, these are the kinds of things that I do a lot of work with over at when2listen.com. I do a lot of mentoring. I can help you to figure out what kind of an empath you are. I can teach you skills to take better care of yourself if that's something that you're struggling with. And I can help you move toward where you want to go. A lot of times we stay connected. We have attachments to our past beliefs that need to be cleared so that we can move forward with new things. And if that's something that you're struggling with and you would like more help with, you can find me at one2listen.com every day, and I will help you with that. Okay? I am out of time. I want to say thank you all for being here, for participating, for listening. Thank you, Scott, for producing. And as always, thanks for listening to 1 2 Radio, where we're changing the way you believe.